Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Newcastle upon Tyne Unitarians this Mothering Sunday. As ever, I'm going to open with our value statement. As Unitarians, we do not have a creed or dogma, but we do have values that we hold in common here. We welcome all who seek the meaning of life and who believe that human spirituality is wider than any one tradition and deeper than any one set of opinions. With a respect for our Christian origins, we seek to explore all truths from all sources. Our fellowship gives us strength and encouragement in daily living. Anne Mills has very kindly agreed to lead worship for us today, so I'm now going to hand over to Anne. Thank you very
much. Well, thank you, Diana. I seem to have lost my opening words. That's part of the course this morning. No, it's all right, we're here. First of all, I will wish you a very happy Mothering Sunday. I'll show you a card which arrived in my post this week. We could have a look more closely if you like. And it's actually from one of our other churches, Ansdell, South Blackpool. And one of the members there makes these cards herself and sends them out. She did stress when I said that I was going to show you this morning, she is not taking orders. So I'll have to give her some reassurance later on today. But they are beautiful. She sends out birthday cards, Christmas cards, anniversary cards. This is the first time I've had a Mothering Sunday one. But this year, yeah, you're very lucky because last year when I took a Mothering Sunday service, one of my daughters had bought me a great big balloon in a box and the congregation had that floating above them the whole service. So I'll put that there and we can keep it in view. And the other thing I got this morning at the hotel was a little bag of chocolates. I actually got two because the lady felt sorry for me. So I think I'm going to give my 3 readers these chocolates afterwards as a thank you. So see me later. So good morning, everybody, and welcome to our worship and to our Mothering Sunday service. You are very welcome, whether you have joined us online or are with us here in person. Since I last took a service for you at the end of January, Roger and I have been on holiday to Australia and New Zealand, and we spent the last week of our trip in Perth, Western Australia, visiting our family there, which now spans 3 generations. Our niece, her 2 daughters, and her granddaughter, aged 16 months, and absolutely delightful. This branch of our family emigrated to Australia in 2006, and its members are very well settled there. It has to be noted that the environment is very different from that in the UK. We arrived at the end of their summer when a mini heatwave was in progress, and it was wonderful to bask in the warmth, enjoying blue skies and sunshine every day. But this was nothing compared with the warmth of our welcome. We last visited in 2017, and although there have been a couple of short UK visits from the Perth contingent in the meantime, before lockdown began and borders closed, personal contact has had to be limited. If I think through Roger's side of our family tree, the head of the family for many years was his mother and his grandmother before her. His sister lives in Derbyshire, and it is her daughter who emigrated with her husband and young children. So you can imagine that the mother figure and the important part played by mothers generally is uppermost in my mind, especially today. Being together with our family in Perth was a heartwarming experience. We all spent quality time together. There was laughter, conversation, the exchange of news, plans for the future, memories to discuss, and sometimes a tear or 2 to shed. But the overall feeling was one of joy, of happiness that we were all able to be together and to share, albeit briefly, a deep togetherness engendered by our relationship to one another, by our continuing closeness despite our geographical separation, and by our care and concern for each other, as well as for those family members who could not be with us. On one of our days out, we visited Kalamunda, a hillside town about half an hour's drive from Perth. Our niece explained that the local joke, when describing where places were in relation to one another, was that everywhere was half an hour from everywhere else. And on reflection, so it was. In Kalamunda, we visited a shop whose owner made much of her own stock, clothing of all kinds, cards, bookmarks, handicrafts, cuddly toys. I bought a kangaroo. Our niece bought presents for us to take home from her to her mother, but bewailed the fact that Mother's Day cards hadn't reached the shelves by then. Mother's Day in Australia doesn't occur until mid-May. Luckily, the next shop we visited stocked a wide range of suitable cards, and one was selected to accompany the presents. It will be cherished, I know, by our niece's mother, and we were pleased to be able to deliver the whole parcel in time for today. Mothering Sunday is not an altogether happy experience for this mother and daughter, in this instance because of the separation. But the love and the link between the two of them is strong and enduring, and that is cause for celebration on this Mothering Sunday. And now I'm going to light the chalice candle and read the chalice words. And this morning's chalice words. It's called My Mother's Garden. My mother kept a garden of the heart. She planted all the good things that gave my life its start. She turned me to the sunshine and encouraged me to dream, fostering and nurturing the seeds of self-esteem. And when the winds and rain came, she protected me enough, but not too much, because she knew I'd need to stand up strong and tough. Her constant good example always taught me right from wrong, markers for my pathway that will last a lifetime long. I am my mother's garden. I am her legacy, and I hope today she feels the love reflected back from me. And now let us enter into a time of prayer. We give thanks for all that is good and loving in the families of the world, their care for each other, their forgiveness of one another's follies and offences, their tender welcome of the newly born, the care and guidance they give their children, their understanding and forbearance with the headstrong ways of youth. We give thanks for the commitment and responsibility of adulthood, the gentleness and kindness of parents, which hold firm in all trials, making of the family a place of safety and security. We give thanks for the respect that is given to the wisdom and experience of maturity, and for the compassion embracing the frailty that may one day overtake us all. We give thanks for those who have passed from us, to take their place with the ancestors who gave us our roots. We hold them in fond memory. We give thanks for our own families and for all they give us. May every family on earth be blessed. Amen. And now Louise is going to give us our first reading. It's the Mothering Day Carol, a little bit about it first and then the carol itself. I hope you don't feel tempted to break into song, Louise.
I'll try to resist.
Thank you.
Mothering Sunday Carol. The origins of Mothering Sunday show that mothers on this day were encouraged to attend morning service at their mother churches. To mark the occasion, daughters would stay at home to prepare the meal, the eldest son would contribute a cake, and flowers gathered from the hedgerow would be presented to mothers. Celebration was the order of the day, and new or best clothes would be worn after mother's approval had been obtained. If children worked away from home, in service in a stately home or similar, for example, they would be allowed to visit, one of the few days in the year when families could all be together, and a girl in service might be allowed to bake a simnel cake to take to her mother. This simple, cheerful poem, which can also be sung as a hymn, outlines the traditions that we have all come to associate with a traditional Mothering Sunday. It is the day of all the year the one day, when I shall see my mother dear and bring her cheer a mothering on Sunday. So I'll put on my Sunday coat and in my hat a feather, and get the lines I writ by rote with many a note I've strung together. And now to fetch my wheaten cake, to fetch it from the baker. He promised me, for mother's sake, the best he'd bake for me to fetch and take her. Well have I known, as I went by on Hollow Lane, that none day I failed to find, for all their shy where violets lie, as I went home on Sunday. My sister Jane is waiting maid along with Squire's lady, and year by year her part she's played, and home she stayed, to get the dinner ready. For mother will come to church, you see, of all the year it's the day. The one she'll say that's made for me, and so it be, it's every mother's free day. The boys will all come home from town, not one will miss that one day. And every maid will bustle down to show her gown of mothering on Sunday. It is the day of all the year the one day. And here come I, my mother dear, to bring you cheer a mothering on Sunday.
Thank you, Louise. And now we're going to sing our second hymn, which is number 14, Bring Many Names, number 14. And now Ben is going to give us our second reading. It's called Celebrities Remember Their Mothers. Have you got a copy?
No.
Just where I came prepared. I actually cut this down from a much longer piece, and I tried to show the contrast. So some are humorous, some are sad, some are strong, some are moving. So we let Ben tell you all about it.
Celebrities remember their mothers. Julia Roberts acknowledges that her mother was an amazing cook. She made everything from scratch using good, fresh produce. Her skills have been passed on to her daughter, who prides herself on the quality of her cooking, except that she makes much smaller portions. Brad Pitt's mother was the heart of the family, the glue that kept the family together. She had a big heart and great warmth and took care of them all. When he and his siblings were little, she would stay and talk to them when they were in bed for as long as they wanted, about all the issues that worried or confused them until they fell asleep. This really impressed him, and he has never forgotten it. A comical incident reminds Brenda Blethyn of her mother, who, she says, was a great leveler. On one occasion, Brenda had arranged to meet her mother, but was delayed by fans asking for photographs and autographs. She explained this to her mother, who commented, "Ah, isn't that nice? Who did they think you were then?" Despite this, she inspired absolute adoration from her daughter. Fiery and passionate is the phrase Judi Dench uses to describe her Irish mother. At one stage, her mother owned a Hoover, but then her husband bought her an Electrolux, which she detested. One day, when the Electrolux was being serviced, she threw all its single pieces down the stairs, demanding the return of her beloved Hoover. Judy loved her mother for her high emotional responses to situations. Kate Blanchard was raised by two generations of strong women. Her mother, a widow, needed to work, and her grandmother joined the household in order to help out. The idea that women were equal to men was impressed upon her as she watched her mother face challenge after challenge without ever feeling self-pity. Kate realizes how fortunate she has been in the quality of her upbringing. The mother of Jane Seymour spent the war in a concentration camp, but refused to be beaten into submission by the situation. She believed firmly that in the midst of troubles, we should all open our hearts and reach out to others, so that purpose may enter our lives. Jane admires the very special person who was her mother, the one who offered her daughter the chance of the richest, fullest, fulfilling life possible. As we think of our own mothers today, let us appreciate their abilities and skills. Let us remember them with love and gratitude.
Thank you, Ben. The Brenda Blethyn one always makes me laugh because I always imagine her in her character as Vera and adding pet on the end of it. We enter into time of prayer again, and this will be followed by a brief silence. Let us give thanks for love in the world, so that we may feel surrounded by its strength. Let us be aware of kindness in the world, so that we may give without expecting to receive. Let us treat all we meet with compassion, so that we may offer them hope and consolation, and give us the strength and courage we need to carry out the tasks that we are called upon to perform. As we celebrate this Mothering Sunday, let us enter into a brief period of silence, during which we remember families throughout the world which have been separated by disaster and emergencies. Let us remember especially those families in Ukraine and in Turkey and Syria, wherever misfortune has struck. And let us send our thoughts and prayers to those who are suffering separation and family breakup through no fault of their own. We send our thoughts and prayers to those who suffer separation and family breakup through no fault of their own. Amen. Quoting some of the words of one of my favourite songs, Bridge Over Troubled Water by Simon and Garfunkel. The lyrics seem to fit very appropriately with ideas of mothering as I define them. See what you think. When you're weary, feeling small, when tears are in your eyes, I'll dry them all. I'm on your side when times get rough and friends just can't be found. Like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down. When you're down and out, when you're on the street, when evening falls so hard, I will comfort you. I'll take your part when darkness comes and pain is all around. Like a bridge over troubled water, I will ease your mind. Whenever I hear this song, I feel immeasurably soothed. I know I'm not alone, and that at least one person will offer me help when I'm in need. And for me, mothering includes such qualities as love, kindness, warmth, nurturing, and caring. And we can all be involved in this whenever and however we wish. I must here acknowledge that Mothering Sunday can be a bittersweet occasion for many people, depending on their circumstances. Mothers and children may be estranged by circumstances, by differences in attitudes, or by death. and this makes the occasion painful. During COVID restrictions, we all, I think, felt the lack of some human contact in our lives. Parents and children were quite often unable to meet freely, and those who lived in different countries were particularly hard hit. Boundaries were closed even for nationals and have only reopened relatively recently. Some of those families still have not managed to meet. Derbyshire, whose daughter lives in Australia, is not well enough to travel. So in order to see the Australian branch of her family, she must hope and pray that they will be able to visit her in the very near future. One visit is already arranged and another is in the pipeline. And meanwhile, we keep our fingers crossed. At one point during COVID times, even friends and neighbours were obliged to remain at a distance. Occasionally, slabs of time passed without us actually seeing and spending time with those outside our immediate households. Felt acutely the lack of personal contact. Certainly, this brought me to a realisation of what I was missing and why, and made me determined to value my family members all the more. Which is why I want to concentrate on this part of today's service. Not so much on mothers, but on mothering, the act person performing the deed. If you were the recipient of any such kindnesses, you were most fortunate, and perhaps you too have since been able to repay the kindness. The phrase in use today, these words, is that when we receive a kindness helped us, instead we pass on the choice to do the same. It has been calculated that one person paying forward to 3 other people who each in their turn pay forward to 3 more people could set up a chain of events that would quickly involve the whole world. What a difference in mood and attitude that would create. Mother Teresa reminds us that not all of us can do great things, but we can do worth bearing in mind. Mothers have always been identified with nurturing because the very tasks of caring for their young embody just such qualities. But let us be very clear, mothering is not the province of mothers alone. It is open to everybody. In the readings, hymns and prayers I've chosen today, I've included references to the sharing of the caring element of children too, and are just as capable of being tender and understanding as mothers are. In a society in which same-sex couples are established, we find children with 2 mothers or 2 fathers, and the mothering is shared between the couple. The biological link has become of lesser importance than bringing up children to be well adjusted and secure in their various environments. Similarly, when any partnership changes, the children might not necessarily end up living with either biological parent. Yet they emerge as fully rounded from their upbringing as regards their development as others brought up more conventionally. A parent who loses a partner through death may be left to carry out caring tasks all alone, yet the children develop satisfactorily to live happy, usefulty of upbringing rather than the actual biological family involvement that despite our situations, we can all, if we wish. In our last reading, you will hear about people who, whilst not particularly wishing to bring their own children into the world, have no objection to mothering to other people's in various ways, by offering love and understanding, for example. There are no restrictions on this. It is up to all of us to decide what we can do best and how we do it. Opportunities will probably not take long to arrive. Indeed, we may not be aware that we have employed our talents successfully. We may never know, or the information may take years to return to us. But we have made the effort by reaching out to a human being in need at an appropriate time. Never underestimate or undervalue this. It is a unique talent, a gift, an empathy to be shared whenever and wherever we can. And its effects may be more amazing than we could ever have predicted. Amen. And now Jane is going to give us our third reading called Mothering. I will point out that this was written in 2020, I think, which explains some of the anachronisms. Angela Merkel is no longer the Chancellor of Germany, for example. Thank you, Jane.
Mothering, an extract from an article by Hannah Betts. In the past, although Mothering Sunday originally had nothing to do with mothers, such associations became almost inevitable, but the day was fairly inclusive at that point. When families met together, they might visit any of their female relatives, not just their mothers, and the traditional motherly qualities could refer to any person who offered support. In truth, most of us are happy to take mothering where we find it, from neighbours, teachers and parents, child-free friends, for example. My mother and I drifted apart when I was in my 30s. She died when I was in my early 40s, after which I continued to find older allies who could encourage and support me. My former boss, and I still pay tribute to her every Mothering Sunday. She may not always approve of my actions, but she has always stood by me. Some women may choose to redirect maternal instinct to still greater causes. German Chancellor Angela Merkel may not have biological children, but has become mother to her nation. Before her 2013 election triumph, her party widely displayed her nickname on its posters, as well as her trademark gesture, hands held in a heart shape, to indicate that she was a safe pair of hands. Oprah Winfrey claims that she has fulfilled her instincts in the best way for herself by establishing her lead. Andrea Leadsom implied that she was superior to Theresa May when they both fought the Conservative leadership contest in 2016, a stake in the future. But maybe the truth is that Theresa May deployed her caring instincts on a more expansive scale, as she fulfilled, without doubt, child-free women who are fantastically motherly. Whether this involves receiving confidences from younger relatives, sponsoring students who cannot afford advice to neighbours, such women are described as being good with children, even though they have little desire for families of their own. They enjoy the close contact of younger siblings, friends, children, and youngsters from all walks of life. If we discount the loving influence of such, there is no reason for us not to celebrate our gratitude for our birth mothers, but in a year when we have had more demands on us than usual to look after one another, we should acknowledge the full range of loving mums in our lives. Let us recognise today that by considering not only the noun mother, but the verb form mothering, we bestow an appreciative gift on many valuable people.
And our final prayer. In celebration of Mothering Sunday, let us open our hearts and reach out to those who need our love. Let us find in ourselves an endless source of willingness to offer warmth and comfort where it is most lacking, where it can make most difference. May we be always sensitive to others' situations, so that we may know how best to listen to their innermost thoughts and feelings and to help as best we can. Let us undertake this work in a generous spirit. Given freely and lovingly, it can sustain both giver and receiver. Let us spread love wherever we go, so that the world may become a vastly happier place for all those who inhabit it. Amen.